All right, here's what you need, what I talked about before with a couple of buddies of mine. As you're starting to feel like you're coming down with something, maybe a cold, God forbid, a flu, here's exactly what you need. That's right, it's called Emergency. I tore the top of the package off because I've already opened it, as you can see, but it says Emergency. Look at that, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So I've already opened the package. I poured the contents in this water bottle, right? Poured about half the water out, maybe almost half. Just sit there and shake it up and use it down it, man. And I'm telling you, that's what you need. And you do that a couple of days in a row and you'll feel so much better. Emergency at your local Walmart or CVS. Good stuff, man. Oh, yeah. Once again, that's Emergency. Check it out, man. It's worth it. Very much so. So what am I want to talk about today? Hey, man, it's 10/13. It's Sammy Hagar's birthday. Stay tuned. Here it comes. Let's talk about some Sammy Hagar. Be right with you. Stand by.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, Joe, for the Joe Wentz Project TV. Today, 10/13. It's a Friday. It's a pretty special day today. Pretty big day for one person in particular, Sammy Hagar. Sammy Hagar, man, turns the big 7-0 today. The big 7-0. Wow, and he still sounds the same to me as he did when he was 25 or whatever. You know, Sammy Hagar started off doing a lot of club things when he was younger, just like anybody else, and then he hooked up with Ronnie Montrose. You know how that story went. He goes, "What you got with Montrose, man?" Had some great albums. Rock Candy. I mean, I love Rock Candy, you know. That went for a while, and then it stopped. Sammy goes solo for quite some time. Became hugely successful in his solo career. Selling out venues like crazy, doing double nights in major markets. He just non-stop toured all the time. Didn't never stop, man. Hardly no kind of radio airplay or anything. He just kept on doing it, man. Kept on getting it. So I've always loved Sammy Hagar's music, and he also, to me, seems like a very down-to-earth person. You know, good-hearted guy. So let's go over. I got some stuff here off Wikipedia about Sammy. So, you know, whether it's all true or not, I don't know, but this is what it states here. Just a couple of things real quick. Samuel Roy Hagar was born on October 13th, 1947, also known as the Red Rocker. He is an American rock vocalist, guitarist, songwriter, musician, and entrepreneur. And boy, is he ever an entrepreneur. Man, very smart and highly successful businessman. Hagar came to prominence in the 70s with the hard rock band Montrose. He afterwards launched a successful solo career, scoring an enduring hit in 1984 with I Can't Drive 55. And that's one of his most, I think I've heard him say on an interview, that was one of his most licensed songs even today. So he's making a lot of bank off that song even today. That's amazing. That's awesome. He enjoyed huge commercial success when he replaced David Lee Roth as the lead singer of Van Halen in 1985, but left the band in 1996. Now, I've heard two sides of that story. I heard that Eddie fired him, and I've heard Sammy left. They had a big falling out on the phone, and Sammy said maybe it was just a little bit of both. He said maybe I did leave, and blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. You make your own conclusions. Either way, it's the same outcome. He was gone, right? That was in 1996. He returned to the band for a 2-year reunion from 2003 to 2005, and we know that was a what's the best way to say it? That was a train wreck, pretty much. If you look that up on YouTube, Sammy states it was awful. And he's even said himself, go back on YouTube and look at the video clips of it. It just wasn't good. You know, I think Eddie was in a dark place at that time, you know. But thank God he's straightened out now. On March 12, 2007, Hagar was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Van Halen. His musical style primarily consists of hard rock and heavy metal. So yeah, man, of course, when I first heard about Sammy, was from the I Can't Drive 55 video on MTV. That was the first time I heard about him. So I thought, man, that's cool, you know, and you heard his stuff all the time, you know, especially that song, but you heard a few other of his songs all the time on the radio. Now, the big debate in the Van Halen world, and my buddy and I, Jim Guidry, talked about this on the phone last night. Man, that is such a divided camp. You got the David Lee Roth camp, and you got the Hagar camp, right? So, and as I stated before, I love both. You know, I love the Dave era stuff. You can't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Jim expressed his views to me about it last night. I won't say that. I can't speak for him. I'll let him share his views if he wants to. You know, let him share his opinion. But when I really got into Van Halen was when Sammy joined him in '86. You know, like I've said before, he got in there in '86. 5150 comes out, and I start hearing a few songs on the radio. You know, Why Can't This Be Love? You know, Summer Nights, stuff like that. And I was like, and for a minute, I was like, oh, that's Sammy Hagar. He's got a new song out. You know? I didn't know he had joined Van Halen, and you know, because I didn't get my first guitar until Christmas Eve of '86. So you know, by that time, Sammy was already in there. 5150 was out. You know, they're getting ready they're probably already on the road. You know, I believe their first stop was in Shreveport, Louisiana, where my buddy Jim lives. So that was the first stop of the tour, and he went to that show too. Wow, amazing! That is unbelievable. So, you know, and it was a number 1 album. That was their first number 1 for both of them. You know, so to me, I loved it myself because it took them to a different plateau. You know, it's still Van Halen, but it was different, and a lot of people didn't like it. I loved it myself. You know, I really did. I was like, man, like even today, he can still sing his ass off. You know, just my opinion. You know, so you got Sammy now, I guess, is doing a thing called the Circle with, of course, him, Michael Anthony. What's the guy on the guitar? I'm totally drawing a blank. And Jason Bonham on drums. And Vic Johnson, that's the guitar player. I'm sorry, Vic Johnson. Amazing group. I mean, to me, it's like another version of a super group. I mean, golly, man, it's amazing. And so as of right now, I don't know if Sammy's in Cabo. He probably is. I don't know. But I think on the 18th, which is what, 5 days from now? It's like the 17th or 18th. He's going to be right up the road here in Cherokee, North Carolina. Which for us is like, what, an hour, 20 minutes? Something like that. Hour and a half tops. And they have a beautiful amphitheater up there. My wife and I went to see Greg Allman up there about 2.5 years ago. You know, rest in peace, Greg Allman. Man, love Greg Allman. Love the Allman Brothers. So that's where they're coming to, you know. I was like, man, I was really wanting to go see that, but unfortunately we can't go. So that would be a cool show. It'd be very cool. So yeah, so it's you know, even now, you know, when Sammy got out in '96, Van Halen, he still continued to put out records, to put out albums, you know, and it wasn't as hugely successful as it was when he was with Van Halen. But he sold some albums. It really didn't get a lot of sales, you know, like you know. Things were changing, man. Things were changing then with music in general, you know. Of course, Van Halen gets Gary Sharon. That lasted just for one album. I wasn't crazy about that. nothing against Sharon or anybody. I just didn't think it was a great fit. Sharon, amazing singer. Like I said, he's phenomenal. Extreme, absolutely phenomenal. Um, but to me, it just wasn't. I don't know. I was like, man, these is just the third singer they've had. You know, I'm like, what are they going to? Are they going to keep just getting another singer? And then of course that dissipated. But they split on good terms, which shows the great character of Gary Sharon. You know. And then the reunion tour happened with Sammy, which that was, like I said, a train wreck, right? So, and it's now, you know, since then, they did a couple of tours with Dave, which, whatever side you're on, you know, whether you liked it or you didn't. Personally, I thought it was cool, but I really wasn't crazy about it, you know, because how they ousted Michael Anthony. You know, I was like, man, I just, you know, there's two sides to every story, but to me, Michael Anthony always has seemed like a stand-up guy, a nice guy. You know, he doesn't badmouth anybody. He's class. He's a real classy gentleman. So I wasn't crazy about that. I kind of lost a little bit of respect for Eddie, because I'm sure he was the one calling the shots, because right before Sammy got out of Van Halen in '96, you know, their manager had died, Ed Loeffler, and they got a new manager that at that time was Alex Van Halen's brother-in-law, which he was in the background the whole time. Sammy didn't know it for a while, but then he put the pictures together, I guess you could say, connected the dots. Sammy didn't like the guy. You know, he was also the manager of Rush. I can't remember the guy's name, but Sammy didn't like the guy at all. But that guy is allegedly the one that broke Van Halen up in '96, because he kept talking to Eddie and saying, hey man, this guy's trying to take over your band. Talking about Sammy, you know. And all this stuff can be found if you just go on YouTube and do some research, you know. So that guy comes to Sammy and says, hey, Eddie wants his band back. And Sammy's like, what? Wants his band back? This is everybody's band. You know, what are you talking about? And so things started to change. Eddie's attitude started to change. I think there were other elements involved. You know, that's right when Eddie's dark period started, in my opinion. You know, I'm not an expert. I don't have any proof, but it just kind of seems the videos kind of speak for that, you know. But anyway, all that stuff, you know, went away, and Eddie is great now. I just wish that he would do something or make an announcement or something, you know. Is it next year, 2018? Isn't that the 30th anniversary of Van Halen? You know, their premiere on the from their first album. You know, 30 years. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. My buddy Jim told me, asked me about Joe Satriani. He said, did you hear what Joe Satriani said? Or Sammy said something to the effect, and I'm going to paraphrase here, that 2018 he was dedicating to Chickenfoot. I was like, really? You know, so, and Joe Satriani, which they're great friends, I think Joe Satriani was shocked, but he was supportive of it as well. Let me see if I can pull that up. I want to make sure I'm getting my facts straight here. Hang on. Okay, right here I found a tweet from Satch. This was September. Wow, this was September 27th. So I don't know how good this is going to come across. It says Joe chats in depth. G3, that's his thing that he's got going on, you know, G3. The new album, and even Chickenfoot with Eddie Trunk. And it says right here, Satriani is feeling very positive about a Chickenfoot reunion in 2008. I don't know how that's going to come across there. There you go. So pretty cool, man. Wow. That's awesome. So maybe so, you know, maybe so. And of course, here's one from Sammy Hagar from this was last night. He says, I love this bar. Once again, last night the fans were crazy, wild, and off the hook what a bash this is turning out to be. The Sammy Hagar birthday bash right there. And I'm sure that's Cobbly Wobbly, I'd imagine. You know, very cool. So Sammy's amazing. That's really cool. Really cool stuff, man. So yeah, Sammy Hagar, happy birthday, man, and thank you for the fantastic music. Not that he'll ever see this, but I mean, man, just so many great songs. And it wasn't long ago that I guess it was about a month ago, I bought his VOA album. Yeah, I went ahead and bought it, man. I was like, I remember that thing has some, besides I Can't Drive 55. I mean, I've heard that song, a million times. It's like, God almighty. But the other songs were great, I was like, man, that's awesome. And, shortly after that, when him and Eddie started talking, Sammy was invited to play at Farm Aid, and that's when he brought Eddie with him, and that was the first time they performed together on stage. All this is on YouTube. You can see this. Isn't YouTube wonderful? You can just pull all kind of stuff up and see, the cool stuff that you really couldn't see back then unless you read a magazine or happened to catch it on a news clip or something like that. So it's really cool. It's amazing. But it's those guys had good times together. And to me, you would want to recapture that magic. I would, But maybe, if you're familiar with Sammy Hagar's book, Red, My Uncensored Life in Rock, Sammy lays it out there. So is it possible that Eddie can't let that stuff go? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. But Eddie, I'm sorry, not Eddie. Sammy has publicly apologized, and said, look, if I've hurt anybody, I apologize, but I had to tell the story, so, but I'd like to see them at least be friends, and be civil with one another. Will that ever happen? Time will tell. I've been waiting. I'm sure all the other fans have been waiting. Who knows what would happen. Guess we'll wait and see. But in the meantime, happy birthday, Sammy, man. 70 years old. Awesome. Again, thank you for the great music, and thank you for watching this broadcast here. I really much appreciate it. So until next time, this is Joe for the Joe Wentz Project TV. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.